because that's the world that we live in. I think it's comical to say that America is a Christian nation. It's not. That maybe at one time we were a Christian nation, but now America is a post-Christian nation. We are not. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Maybe in Madison they're still Christian, but our nation is a post-Christian nation, and these universalist thoughts, the pluralism thoughts are rampant. Now, this leads us to the question: the compassionate ones of us, or those of us who don't want God to be mean, then we'll say, but okay, so God, let's say there's this tribe in the middle of like the desert, and they never heard of Jesus before, and they die. Do they go to hell? And because we can't imagine a God that will be that cruel, because we can't imagine God being cruel and punishing someone for something that they had no control over, then we say, no, God, everybody's going to heaven. And some people just didn't know, right? See where I'm going with the logic? Or what happens to little babies, like premature babies or aborted babies? Do they automatically go to heaven just because they didn't have a chance to know? Or is God going to send them to hell? That's the way the logic goes. Let me tell you where I stand on the issue, and maybe it will help you. I find myself being like in the middle versus like having an extreme argument. Here's how I verbalize it. I am confident in the love of God. I'm confident. I know that in every situation, God will respond justly, and he will always respond with love. I believe that 100% of the time. But because the scripture has not made it clear to me what happens in those situations, it's not right for me to determine, well, this guy committed suicide, so therefore he's going to hell because his last act on this earth was an act of sin, and therefore he's going to hell. That's not for me to place him there. I can't do that. So what I say is, what God has told me is that salvation comes through Jesus Christ and through him alone. He has told me that there will be people who turn their back on Christ, and there will be consequences, what it seems to me, eternal consequences for their sins. And he's also instructed me to go and to make disciples of the nations. That's the information I have, and that's the information I can operate from. Everything else is pure speculation. So it's foolish of me to enter into that realm of speculation saying, what if a person has a mental illness and they can't comprehend the gospel, and would God send them to hell? Well, God didn't lay that out for me. Does that kind of help? So let's just agree that we'll be obedient to what Scripture has revealed, and we'll also see it from the perspective of not so much what happens to them, but what can be said of us who know the truth and who don't share it. What are his thoughts toward us? What are his thoughts toward us who don't sit with the person who is mentally ill? What can be said of us who don't go to the desert and to share the gospel with people who have never heard? What can be said of us? And is there blood on our hands?